Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everyone. This is Ishan Isaac with Ishan on Air. Let's dive into key topics. The Iran war actually has a ceasefire, but Iran attacked Kuwait and then the airport. There were several injuries, and it has been reported one person died. And then obviously, Iran suspended the not the ceasefire, but suspended the talks with the US, indicating that because of Israel continued attacks in Lebanon. However, Israel and Lebanon they agreed to implement a ceasefire, which is great. However, it was the Hezbollah, another militia or this state designated terrorist organization, as according to the State Department, where even President Trump noted that he had great talks with the Hezbollah. So something interesting happened. However, with regards to the House vote, that has put a lot of pressure right now on the Trump administration because although President Trump can still veto it, but House votes first time with the 215 in favor of ending the U.S. war and this U.S. war in Iran, and 208 against it. There were only four Republicans who actually voted in favor of ending the Iran war. So that basically tells you a little bit about these two political parties. Republicans, all for war, only four didn't vote in favor of war, only four voted, including Thomas Massie, who actually lost his primary. That tells you the mindset of the Republican Party, actually. And I know I have some friends, they are Republicans, and they need to explain that because that's who they support. On the other side, Democrats obviously voted overwhelmingly, and four Republicans joined them. So this is the nature of politics in the U.S. Unfortunately, the Guardian has reported U.S. House passes war powers resolution to curb Trump's authority in Iran. However, Trump can still veto it if he's not going to be pressurized by the senators, and in fact, more people, especially more lawmakers, vote to end this war, where he cannot veto it because those procedures are also there in the House rules. Trump says that he plans to nominate Todd Blank to serve as Attorney General. So remember, he was his personal attorney. Now he will become Attorney General for the United States. Again, I'm reporting, you decide, is this how we should be governing the greatest country in the world, where personal attorneys become the Attorney General as well? That's one side of the argument. The other side of the argument, well, it's up to the president. He can nominate whoever he wants. Well, if that's the criteria, then at least the good news is Mr. Todd Blank is still an attorney, because in some developing countries, we see that people with no background, they get nominated into different portfolios where they do not even have any kind of background experience. A federal judge strikes down Trump administration's immigration policy affecting 39 countries. So this is where obviously Trump administration has always been against even legal immigration, although Republicans, they claim that they're not against legal immigration. But this was something that Project 2025 already noted out there in block letters, I would say. Whoever cares to read that Project 2025 manifesto. And it has been reported by Associated Press as well, and the spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security did not immediately respond to, for comments by Associated Press. And here is another interesting news that is coming up with regards to even Thomas Massie and also Congressman Ro Khanna. He said that, quote, let me be clear, Netanyahu is the one that actually told members of Congress to add Section 224, merging the US and Israeli militaries into the bill, unquote. This is something which the US media, the corporate media, is not talking about it. They won't, because that's not one of their talking points. And the committee actually has passed this. However, it has not been passed by the House. So this is now up to the Americans that do they want the US and Israeli militaries, combined? And we'll talk more about this because I was researching this. So just hang on for a minute. Trump walks out of Meet the Press interview when challenged again on some false claims. And Kristen Wecker, she obviously was upset, but she then later said in her, I would say, podcast or on the channel where Trump agreed to meet with the press again. However, she did say that she interviewed during that short span from Iran war to economy to the so-called anti-weaponization fund, and we need to understand that Trump has always been after the press. Even ABC, CBS, CNN continues to call them as fake news or crooked or what have you. But at the same time, Scott Pelley, who was forced out of into retirement or was fired or however you want to look at it, he was called a stiff, stupid, and unpatriotic, where he was very focused on this unpatriotic part. He said that he can live with being called stupid by the president or even stiff, but being unpatriotic when he was fighting against the enemy combatants, even when he was with the press in Afghanistan and even in Iraq, according to him. And although he never wore a uniform, but at the same time, he said that, calling someone, and especially the president, as unpatriotic, he didn't take that comment lightly. And this is where, although many people agree with President Trump in terms of media not being very focused on the key issues, or sometimes they do not propagate the actual message, and sometimes they may not even ask the right question to the president, which is obviously something wrong with the mainstream media. That's why they tune in and get more information from channels like Zishan On Air and other social media platforms, because they get the truth and facts from the social media. So Scott Pelley, he did indicate that for any democracy to function, journalism is key. And I agree with him, because otherwise there won't be any democracy at all. And that's the signature line of President Trump. When things don't go in his favor or no one toes the line, people basically get fired. And corporate America, especially the press, oblige all the time, unfortunately. The Guardian also reports this. The Congress wants to tie the United States to Israel with this new legislation. It's a trap. And here's another headline: how are we all just ignoring Congress tying our military to Israel's ? And this is where I was researching, and I came across obviously the AIPAC website. Again, I don't defend AIPAC, I don't favor AIPAC, I'm just reporting, you decide. AIPAC reported that United States-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative. You can read more on it. And why does this Section 224 matter? So they're talking about, obviously, national security, existing cooperation, and then addressing pressing challenges. And you can read more. But they also were refuting some myths about Section 224. They're saying that this is actually a technology cooperation. But this is where it's up to us, up to Americans, to ask these questions with your representatives, both in Congress, both houses, lower chamber, upper chamber, with the congressmen, congresswomen, or with senators, that explain to us that what would be this cooperation. Does that mean it's going to be like Article 5 or NATO? An attack on Israel means an attack on the United States, because that's what Article 5 actually means in NATO. And this is where other pro-Israel provisions in NDAA, which is National Defense Authorization Act. So something to think about, and some important factors with regards to this development. And then obviously next Sunday, June 14th, I'm going to be given this award, which obviously is a humbling experience for me, and I really appreciate it, where the Robert Santee Foundation, they're organizing a Father's Day Gala with Father of the Year award to many very key people, according to them, and they nominated me as well and selected me. So I really appreciate it, and it's really something that I am very, very excited about. And this is where the work must go on. And all of this programming cannot be possible without our key advertisers. And this is where I would like to thank our key advertiser, Affordable Insurance of Texas. That's AITinsurance.com. Many people, they pay a lot in premiums for their monthly auto insurance. So call them and you will save hundreds and thousands of dollars. And if you bundle it with homeowners insurance, that's another way to save more. And if you need commercial insurance, business insurance, health insurance, call them. For auto insurance and for homeowners insurance, all kinds of insurance. Call Affordable Insurance of Texas. They have decades of experience, and you can call them from anywhere. If you live in any other state, call them. 713-785-4000. And in Houston and Greater Houston and in Texas, there are many locations, multiple locations. www.aitinsurance.com, and their phone number is 73785-4000. 73785-4000. And they have a lot of credibility and experience in insurance. Also, Roop Saudi Palace, I would like to mention that Roop Saudi, they always get new shipments. Just recently on Eid, they got a lot of shipment, as I was mentioning last time. And then even for men, women, and grooms, brides, even boys and girls of all age groups, children, they have a lot of variety. And they even have a men's showroom, a separate men's showroom. And for women, obviously, thousands of square footage. You won't see anything like this in all of America, the kind of showroom and the kind of square footage they have. So under one stop shop, under one roof, roopsaudi.com, that's their web address. Or you can even schedule a virtual video tour if you live somewhere else in the States. Call them 832-267-0065, 832-267-0065 to schedule a virtual video tour. And that's Roop Saudi Palace on the web, roopsaudi.com. And Shanghai Restaurant, they have some great specials going on, especially all-you-can-eat buffet Monday to Friday, vegetarian $12.99, non-veg $14.99, takeout buffet $7.99 per pound. Their phone number is 73953-1388. That's 73953-1388. And also, you can get catering orders. They have great specials for catering orders. And for Zishan On Air, they have some more specials. For example, all-you-can-eat lunch buffet, only $10.99. That's 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. 713-953-1388. They are at Hillcroft, 5920 Hillcroft, or on the web, ShanghaiTexas.com. So take advantage of this lunch buffet also. 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Lunch buffet every day, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Shanghai Restaurant Catering. And for catering needs, get best offers and discounts by mentioning Zishan On Air. With that, I'm going to sign off from social media, continue with Legacy Media. Next is Big Baller Sports. Thank you.